Welcome to the Sorcerer's Lair.
This is a video I made for the Perfectionist achievement in Pinball FX2. This is a pretty difficult achievement, so I didn't call this a guide because it's still going to take practice to get. But I do have a demonstration of it being done, and I'll give whatever advice I can from my own experience. What this achievement tells you to do is to beat all the main modes on the table in one game. Those main game modes are the ones that are listed in the center of the table. More precisely, you need to beat each mission once in one game, which means you can fail a mission and then replay it a second time in the same game and then complete it, and it'll count for the achievement. What it means by beat is that you need to complete it to the point where it plays the little sound file and then gives you an obsidian piece. There's 6 game modes, and then there's a finale. 5 of the 6 game modes are pretty learnable and pretty easy to do consistently. And then the 6th one is much harder than the rest. And that's probably what'll prevent you from getting this achievement. Once you get through those 6 game modes, it'll go on to the finale, which is a pretty much unlosable mission. I guess I'll start with a few basic things about the table that might help. First of all, well, I guess this doesn't actually apply to this table specifically, but if you don't already, I'd probably recommend using the bumpers on the controller instead of the triggers. Mostly because the bumpers have that tactile click when they activate, which makes it a lot easier to tell exactly when it's activating. And I think you can time your shots a lot better if you use them. One thing that'll help with getting this achievement would be to know how to activate the ball saves and how to get extra balls in this table. I believe you can get 2 extra balls in one game, and the easiest way to do that is just to shoot ramps consecutively, I think 6 times. That'll activate the extra ball, and then you can do that twice during the game. You can get them a couple other ways, but that's by far the easiest. There's also the side ball saves, and those are activated by lighting all the letters of Ghost. Those letters are the ones that are a little bit above where the flippers are. They light when the ball falls down either the left or right side in one of those 3 lanes on the left or the 2 on the right. And you can shift which letters are lit by hitting the flippers left or right. If you hit the left flipper, it'll shift all the letters of the word over 1 space to the left. If you hit the right flipper, it'll do the same thing on the right. It's pretty helpful, especially for this achievement, to always have those up as much as possible, especially the left one. Whenever you spell Ghost, it'll activate the left one first, and then if that's already active, it'll activate the right one. And those will keep the ball from falling down the sides where you can't hit it back up. They're good for one use, so it's important to try to keep it active as much as possible. So being able to shift which letters are lit is helpful, because if you know which lane the ball is coming back on, say if you hit it up a ramp and it's coming around back, then you can adjust the letters while it's coming back, and then it'll pass over a letter and activate.
I don't see Whisper anywhere.
Like I said earlier, there's 6 missions before the finale, and 5 of them are pretty doable. The one that's incredibly difficult, however, is the one called Bones. It's the one that you need to hit the spinners or the bumpers to run away from skeletons. It's by far the hardest mission on this table, and it's probably unintentionally difficult as well, because the spinners, at least compared to the 360, don't seem to be worth very much for this. And although I think this is probably accidental, I can't imagine it getting changed anytime soon because the game has been out for quite a while. So for this mission, I found that the best way to do it is to focus on shooting the shot from the left flipper around the right orbit. The right orbit is that far right ramp that passes the tree and then funnels into the bumpers and then comes back out at the left. Since the spinners don't seem to be worth that much, it makes sense to try to use the bumpers as much as possible. Ideally, you'd complete the mission just by shooting that shot over and over, but that's pretty difficult, especially to do cleanly, because a lot of times if you don't hit it cleanly, it can go really slow or get caught up at the top and fall back down the right. When the mission starts, I normally just don't touch anything and let the ball fall down, and then most of the time it'll bounce off of the right flipper when it's down, and then it'll just roll up the left side and pretty much set up the shot perfectly for you. So if you can manage to get that shot from the left flipper around the right orbit, if you can manage to do that cleanly, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times maybe in a row, without too much break in between, then you'll pretty much have the achievement. But it is pretty hard, and it'll take a while to learn how to do that repeatedly. And a lot of the time, you won't be able to get that many in a row. So you'll have to decide what to do if you get the ball stuck over on the right flipper. Normally I just shoot for the spinner in the far back. It's harder to hit, and it's not as reliable to go for repeatedly, but your options are kind of limited on the right side. I mentioned before a little bit about the side ball saves. They're especially useful for this mission because you'll be shooting that right orbit a lot, and that means the ball will fall down on the left. And there's a small chance that it'll just fall down the farthest left and won't be able to hit back up, and the left ball save will prevent that from happening. It's also worth noting that most of the time when the ball is coming out of the bumpers, it'll usually fall into the center lane on the left, which means usually you can adjust an empty letter for that. I guess it's an H, and most of the time it will activate that. Another small thing that may not be significant but could be possibly helpful is that whenever the ball is stopped somewhere, like when a mission is starting, or if you shoot one of the ball locks like the gargoyle, or if you shoot the little cubby for Whisper, you can press A when the game is kind of halted like that, and it'll basically skip whatever's happening and put the ball back into play. It doesn't save a lot of time, maybe like a second at most, but if you happen to accidentally shoot the Whisper cubby during the mission, having an extra second back on a 40-second timer could possibly make a difference. Anyways, so getting this achievement pretty much comes down to mastering that shot from the left flipper around the right orbit. The way I mostly practice for this achievement is just to start a new game and then try to do the Bones mission first. You can kind of select which mission you're doing by hitting the bumpers. Every hit on the bumpers rotates the selected mission by 1. Sometimes you're able to get that to select the Bones mission, and sometimes it doesn't really cooperate. A lot of times the ball will only hit the bumpers 3 or 4 times, so you'll kind of cycle through the same 2 or 3 missions over and over and won't be able to get the Bones mission. In those cases, I kind of just said screw it and did the other missions out of order, which is kind of what this video ended up being. But most of the time I would aim to do the Bones mission first.
Oh, I hate spiders. Don't worry, they're just spiders.
So ideally you start with the Bones mission. Then if you fail it, I would just recommend resetting the game and starting over again. That way you can get more practice in on what's difficult. Once you finally beat the Bones mission, then hopefully you can activate both extra balls, and then you can pick up all the other easier ones after that. That's why it's a good idea to occasionally just do the other missions, just so that you stay in practice with them, so when the time comes you don't screw it up. That's about all the tips I can think of to help, but I think the most important thing is just to keep trying.
Leaving so soon.
to the exit!
Magnificent!
What's that? These ghosts are in the way! Where could Whisper be? They're coming back! We found a shortcut! Thank you, my little fleshy friends!
Come forth, creatures of the darkness! Magnificent! Extra ball is lit. Super combo. Extra ball.
Leave them alone! I want to play with them! Come and catch me! Let's play tag!
Magnificent.
There's a secret door here.